morning to all. My topic is on pediatric endodontics part 2. Coming to the contents, it contains introduction followed by pulpotomy and its indications, contraindications, procedure, post-operative follow-up, and apexogenesis and apexification. Coming to the introduction, pulpotomy can be defined as the complete removal of coronal portion of the dental pulp followed by placement of a suitable dressing or medicament that will promote healing and preserve the vitality of the tissues. It was given by Finn in 1959. Pulpotomy is classified based on the treatment modalities as devitalization, preservation, and regeneration. In devitalization, drugs and other methods are used. The pulp in the orifice becomes non-vital and non-functional. For example, Formoxazole technique is classified in this category. In preservation, the function of the remaining pulp demonstrates the minimal changes which are reversible. Preservation is exemplified by ferric sulfate technique. Coming to regeneration, the remaining pulp is not only vital and functional, but it is also stimulated to form a dentin bridge. In addition, regeneration causes odontoblasts to surround the pulp. In devitalization technique, there are single sitting and two-stage techniques. In single sitting, Formoxazole, electrosurgery, and lasers are used. In two-stage technique, Geyser triopaste, Easlix formaldehyde, and paraform devitalizing paste is used. Coming to the preservation, glutaraldehyde, ferric sulfate, and MTA are used in this technique. In regeneration, bone morphogenic protein is used. In non-vital pulpotomy, beechwood, Formoxazole, and Cazole is used. Pulpotomy, according to AAPD, it is the ablation of the infected or affected pulp tissues, leaving the residual vital pulp tissues intact, thus preserving vitality and function of the radicular pulp, and the remaining pulp stump is covered with a capping agent. The success of the technique is low and it is conditioned by three parameters. The tooth must be in stage 1. The trauma related to the operative procedure must be minimal and a high pH calcium hydroxide must be used. In this radiograph, it shows a tooth completed with pulpotomy followed by placement of crown and loop. The success of the treatment is measured by the absence of clinical symptoms such as pain or edema, the absence of radiological symptoms such as internal desorption or intracanal calcifications, the absence of periodontal involvement, and finally the preservation of integrity of the definitive germ or permanent bud. Studies have shown that when pulp exposure is traumatic or iatrogenic, the inflammation is confined to the superficial layer without bacterial infiltration, and this even in case of prolonged salivary exposure. When carious lesions are extensive and allowing direct bacterial contact with the pulp, inflammation is present between 1 to 9 mm from the surface with abscess and pus formation. In this condition, mostly pulpotomy is contraindicated. Coming to the Formoxazole, commercially available Formoxazole is known as Buckless Formoxazole. It contains crazole 35%, formalin 19%. These are added with glycerin and water at the pH of 5.1. 3 parts of glycerin with 1 part of distilled water is added with 1 part of concentrated Formoxazole. Alternatives to Formoxazole are glutaraldehyde, electrosurgery, laser, ferric sulfate, collagen, freeze-dried bone, morphogenic bone proteins, and MTA. However, in a 24 months follow-up, studies regarding pulpotomy performed with 2% glutaraldehyde, the authors could not justify replacing farmacosol. The indications of vital pulpotomy is indicated in case of minimal iatrogenic pulp exposure. In case of stage 1 primary teeth and permanent teeth are stage 1 root formation, primary teeth and permanent teeth. Non-vital pulpotomy is indicated for exposure of primary teeth where inflammation and infection is limited to the coronal portion of the pulp. Contraindication of the pulpotomy include unrestorable teeth, teeth nearing exfoliation, absence of bone between the temporary tooth and the erupting permanent tooth, radicular resorption reaching the cervical third, spontaneous pain and presence of periodontal lesions, absence of bleeding when opening the access cavity, when there is uncontrollable hemorrhage after pulp amputation, there is presence of purulent or serous drainage or presence of fistulous tract. Coming to the procedure, since it is a painful procedure, anesthesia is administered and followed by placement of rubber dam. Complete excision of caries tissue is performed with a high-speed handpiece. The pulp chamber roof is removed and the pulp content is entirely eliminated. The cavity is rinsed with water, then dried with cotton pellets. Hemostasis is obtained by compressing the cotton pellets, the fixative agent, against the pulp stump in the canal entrances. That should be kept for 4 to 5 minutes. The dilution of the fifth is advised as it is effective as full strength while having less toxicity. When the cotton pellet is removed, tissues should be brownish without signs of bleeding. Zinc oxide urinol cements can be used to seal the entrances covered by a glass enamel filling. After sitting, either amalgam or composite materials can be used to restore the teeth. Postoperative follow-up. The treatment is generally detected radiographically. First signs are generally internal resorption facing the point of application of the fixative agent, followed by an external resorption. Radiolucence areas develop at the furcation level, at the apex, or laterally on the roots. Fistula may be present, and the tooth becomes mobile. However, pain is a rare occurrence. Apparition of a dental abscess that can later evolve into a cystic lesion is possible. Hence, follow-up sessions and control X-rays should be taken at the interval of 1, 3, 6 months and at the end of 1 year. Success rate of different pulpotomy modalities are given. In calcium hydroxide, Sonmas et al. Has done a study in 2008 with a success rate of 46.1%. Moretti et al. Has done a study in 2008 with 36%, and with the MTA, Somnas et al. Has done a study in the year of 2008 with 66.6%, and Nimoltoli et al. With 69.2%. Success rate of farmacosol was Agami et al. Has done in 2004 with 90% success rate. Huth et al. In 2005 has given a 85% success rate. Bahrumi et al. In 2008 has given 96% success rate with farmacosol. Sonmas et al. Has given 76.9% success rate. Coming to the ferric sulfate, Dean et al. In 2002 has given 84% and Bahlumi et al. In 2008 has given 84%. Coming to the laser pulpotomy, Laser energy might be able to overcome the histologic deficits of electrosurgery. Ideally, laser irradiation would create a superficial zone of coagulation necrosis that remained compatible with the underlying tissues and that isolated the pulp from vagaries of the subbase. Coming to corticosteroids, in an effort to overcome the internal disruption seen in zinc oxide eugenol and calcium hydroxide pulpotomies, a dressing containing corticosteroid was evaluated clinically. While the steroid reduced the inflammation and internal disruption when compared with zinc oxygenol, the degree of improvement and success rate is 79%, which is a remarkable one. Coming to glutaraldehyde, it has been proposed as an alternative to pharmacazole based on its superior fixative property and self-limiting penetration. It has low antigenicity and low toxicity and elimination of cresol. The histologic picture of glutaraldehyde treated pulp shows a zone of superficial fixation with very little underlying inflammation. It has been observed that inadequate fixation leaves a deficit barrier to subbase irritation, resulting in internal disruption. Coming to ferric sulfate, it is a non-aldehyde chemical. Ferric sulfate has received some attention recently as a pulpotomy agent. This hemostatic compound was proposed on the theory that it might prevent problems encountered with clot formation and thereby minimizes the chances of inflammation and internal disruption. Possibly, the metal protein clot at the surface of the pulp stem acts as a barrier to the irritative components of the subbase. If true, ferric sulfate may function solely in a passive manner. Heavy metal coagulation with ferric sulfate is somehow able to subdue the pulp when the high pH coagulation of the calcium hydroxide cannot. It remains to be verified. Coming to SWEC pulpotomy. It is otherwise called as partial pulpotomy. The pulpal changes are characterized with a proliferative response with inflammation extending only few mm. Inflamed pulp is amputated and saline irrigation is done, followed by placement of calcium hydroxide dressing on the amputated site and an entrance filling is given with GIC and a follow-up is needed. It is similar to a direct pulp capping method. By combining the results of the history, examination, and diagnostic test, an accurate clinical diagnosis of pulpal vitality can be made. Whether vital pulp should be go for apexogenesis procedure and necrotic pulp should be go for apexification procedure. Coming to the apexogenesis, the objective of the apexogenesis is to retain the vitality of the radicular pulp so that root closure can occur. The indications of the apexogenesis are normal radiographic appearance of the tooth. There should be absence of sensitivity to percussion, no abnormal response to thermal stimuli, little if any evidence of intracoronal abscess formation, lack of excess hemorrhage, no evidence of foul odor. The contraindications are evidence that radicular pulp has undergone degenerative changes, if there is any purulent drainage, and the history of prolonged pain is there, it is a main contraindication. Necrotic debris in the canal and periapical radiolucency. The goals of apexogenesis are sustaining a viable Hertwig sheath and maintaining the pulpal vitality, promoting the root enclosure, and generating a dental bridge at the site of pulpotomy. The procedure of apexogenesis is opening the access followed by placement of suitable intracanal medicament and leaving the tooth to close the apex by itself. It is similar to pulpotomy. Treatment time 1 to 2 years depending on the degree of the tooth development at the time of procedure and recalled at 3-month intervals regularly, and then apexification therapy is initiated. Coming to apexification, the main objective is to induce either closure of open apical third of the root canal or formation of apical calcific barrier as evidenced by periodic radiographic evaluation. The indications of apexification are non-vital permanent teeth with open apex, that is blunderbuss canal. The contraindications are prolonged sensitivity, pain, or swelling of the tooth. And there should not be evidence of abnormal canal calcification or internal or external resorption or any lateral pathosis. Breakdown of periradicular supporting tissues during or following treatment. The material used in apexification are zinc oxygenol and resorbable tricalcium phosphate and beta tricalcium phosphate, collagen, that is calcium phosphate gel, calcium hydroxide, and MTA, that is mineral trioxide aggregate. The procedure for apexification: in the first visit, there should be proper preoperative assessment followed by periapical radiograph, and then anesthesia should be given followed by rubber dam isolation. The access is gained in the pulp chamber. With the help of the broached pulp is extirpated and irrigation is done with saline and the working length is determined. The circumference followed by circumferential enlargement and the canals are drained with paper points. Seal a pellet of camphorated monochlorophenol in the pulp chamber provisional as a provisional restorative material. Recall in 1 to 3 weeks and remove the restorative and clean the canal again. Mix a paste of camphorated monochlorophenol and calcium hydroxide and place it inside the canal with the large plugger and a cone shaped instrument. At the recall visits of 6 months, a radiographic examination is done. According to Wien in 1976, no radiographic change is apparent, but if an instrument is inserted, a blockage at the apex will be encountered. Radiographic evidence of calcified material is seen at or near the apex. Apex closes without any change in the canal space. Apex continues to develop with closure of the canal space. No radiographic evidence of change is seen and clinical symptoms. The follow-up should be done as every 3 months. Tooth is re-entered and apexification is verified. And if the root is complete, then RCT procedures is followed. Coming to the conclusion, even though there are many endodontists are there in treating the adult patient, but for providing pulp therapy for children still remains to be the domain for pediatric dentists. Thank you. Stay home and stay safe, children. Bye.